Hello, baseball fans. Welcome into another episode of the British Baseball Podcast. I'm your host, Matthew, and this week we have a special crossover episode with Batflips and Nerds as we interview Kevin Mahoney of the British Knights baseball franchise in the newly formed European Super League of Professional Baseball, or ESLB, as I like to call it. And I'd like to thank every one of you that submitted questions in the British Baseball Clubhouse Facebook group. It got quite a lot of conversation going. But just so you know that a lot did change since the original post went up, such as the name change from the Bath Knights to the British Knights. But we did send over the questions to the team to be looked over to see what could and couldn't be answered. And the ones that we could ask, we tried to work in with our questions too. So if you don't hear anything in this episode based on what you've asked, it's either because something that a manager wasn't able to answer, or it could be something that the league decided, do we want to respond to at a different time? So at this time of recording, anything that you don't hear, I'll save for another time when I can try and get a league commissioner on to try and get a bit more information. But needless to say, as something does become available, we will tell you about it when we get that information. But before we get into this, I'd like to ask each and every one of you to subscribe to the show and review it if you can. It doesn't take long, but it does go a long way in helping grow the podcast and getting it into more ears. I've also set up a buymeacoffee.com account. So if you look for Brit Baseball Pod, I should be there. And for the price of a brew, you can help me pay for Zoom packages, stuff that I use for recording the show, software and hardware, and also other little bits and pieces that might pop up. But that is only if you made a charity contribution or helped out a ball club that's in need first. So enough of my waffle. Let's get into what you all came here for, the discussion with the British Knights, Kevin Mahoney. You're listening to the British Baseball Podcast.
Okay, so it's John here from Batflips and Nerds, and I'm not joined by the usual coterie of ill-informed plonkers. I'm happy to say that I've got a real pro riding pillion with me today. It's our great friend Matthew Mutton of the British Baseball Podcast. Matt, how are you?
I thought you were talking about Kevin then. Thanks for that. It's probably one of the nicest things anyone's ever said about me. It isn't my mother. I'm doing very well, thanks. Thank you very much for the opportunity to do a crossover episode with the Kevin Mahoney.
Yeah, so that's it. The reason that Matt and I are on the same, we've crossed the streams like Ray Stantz and Peter Venkman in the Ghostbusters, because we are joined today by Kevin Mahoney, who is the coach of the brand new British Knights, or Knights of Britain franchise, which is going to be the UK based team in the forthcoming European Super League of Professional Baseball, which is super exciting stuff. Kevin, it's a real pleasure to speak to you this afternoon.
Well, the pleasure's all mine. I appreciate you guys having me. I'm super excited about this. This is going to be quite an adventure, and I just can't wait to get started.
Yeah, well, we can't wait to hear a little bit more about what the adventure is going to be for you and all the guys involved. It really sort of stoked a bit of excitement in us when we caught the eye that you were joining the franchise just before Christmas, and we've been waiting to have an opportunity to have a bit of a deeper conversation with you. So it's a real pleasure that we're able to do that now.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, we're really excited, and like you said, right before Christmas, we did come to an announcement that I was going to go ahead and manage the club, and I'm honored to be coming from the United States to Europe and manage a professional baseball club in Europe. And unfortunately, with COVID and everything, I mean, we talked about this a little earlier. It's been crazy, and I'm just so thankful that we're here now and able to have discussions and be able to talk about the league. And there are some things that I unfortunately can't speak on, but I'm going to do my best to answer the things that I can answer. And hopefully we can have some fun talking about baseball and talking about bringing it to Europe.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't worry, Matt and I are going to be nice to you. We won't put our sort of
Well, I appreciate
investigative.
that.
We're not going to put our investigative journalist hats on for this afternoon and this evening over here. So we'll talk. We want to get to know you a bit, Kevin, because hopefully you're going to be part of the furniture here in the UK sooner rather than later. So let's start there. So let's start with the basics. So for people who haven't come across you before, tell us a bit about yourself. So you've been involved in the Yankees franchise for quite a long time as both a player and then a coach, right?
Yes, sir. Well, in the very beginning, I was born and raised in New York, just outside New York City, about 45 minutes to 5 hours, depending on traffic, to the Bronx from Yankee Stadium. And I grew up in Long Island, just east of New York City. And out of high school, I went to a little college in Buffalo, New York, and I graduated after 4 years. I got drafted by the New York Yankees in 2009, which, that in and of itself was a dream come true. A little town from Eastern Long Island, getting drafted by the New York Yankees was at the time one of the greatest days of my life. And it was, just replaying it in my mind, it was fantastic. And I got to spend 6 years as a player, and unfortunately, I had to finish playing due to some injuries. I had 3 arm surgeries, which, believe it or not, I'm not a pitcher. I was a position player, and I had 3 surgeries that ended up ending my career short. But coaching was what I wanted to do. I enjoy helping people. That's what I want to do, and I always knew. Before I went to college, I wanted to coach. When I got to college, I wanted to coach. And when I got to pro ball, I wanted to coach when I was finished playing. And thankfully, that opportunity came with the New York Yankees again. And I was hired on as a hitting coach. And I spent a couple years as a hitting coach. Managing was always my dream. And I decided to change gears within the departments in the New York Yankees to coach defensively, especially with the outfielders, being an infielder myself, to learn as much as I could and to learn everything I could learn from some unbelievable baseball people. The people that I was able to learn from in my education is been unbelievable. Especially the people I worked really closely with the past couple of years, pretty much raised me to be ready to manage. And I got a phone call with this opportunity to join the European Super League Baseball and manage the Knights. And after listening and hearing what the league officials had to talk about and let me know about, I was just excited to be able to come over and continue to help people. And now there's a bridge. There's a bridge between European baseball, which, like you said, has been more of like amateur baseball, to Major League Baseball. We'll get more into detail about that a little later, but I couldn't say no, couldn't do it. And thankfully, things are starting to work out, and we're looking to start in the 2021 season. And I'm just thankful that I get to continue to coach baseball. Baseball's back. We're not you're not waiting around, sitting in our room, staring at walls anymore. We're getting ready to play baseball, and I'm just so excited and happy to do that and to be in this position. I'm very grateful and excited for.
Excellent. So tell us a little bit about how that process came about. You said you jumped at the opportunity, and that's absolutely fantastic to hear. But were you not a little bit like, baseball in Europe, really? Like, was that not a bit off the wall when that sort of that phone call or that email came through?
It was. I was very interested when I got that phone call about being in England. Nonetheless, I was like, all right, I want to hear more. I need to hear more about this. I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to say yes. Teach me about it. I'd love to hear about it. I'm very open. I like to be open-minded. At least I think I am. And I fell in love with the idea. I believe in the idea. And international baseball is very much a thing for people to go and do. You have your leagues in Mexico. You have your leagues in Venezuela and the Dominican Republic, Australia. I understand about some leagues within Europe in itself that are inside their own countries. They don't really do much international. So I'm aware of international baseball, and our commissioner, who's Luis Soho, this Luis Soho, he's one of the best people I know, let alone the type of career that he had on and off the field. He's an incredible person. And when he spoke to me about this opportunity, and I spoke to it with my family, it was the thing to do. It's going to be a great experience for my wife and kids, for myself, to be able to travel Europe and just help people. And I like to say this: I want to make people's dreams come true, whether that be just to play professional baseball, whether it be to make it to Major League Baseball, whether it just be to make a minor league team and sign a professional contract with a major league affiliated team. I want to make other people's dreams come true. Unfortunately, mine didn't come true, and that's okay. I was okay with that, and that's what drives me every day. I want to make somebody else's dream come true, whether that be a player or a coach.
That's really cool. And what was the attraction in particular to the UK franchise? Was it something that was offered to you, or did you get the chance to pick? Because I imagine that your wife would have been happy if she found out there was one that was quite close to Paris or in France with better weather, or were you just keen to come to the UK?
Yeah, it was the UK and England was offered to me. That was the position that they had available, and they asked if I was interested in being in England. And we were talking a little bit before getting to know each other. I have some family in England. I have some family in London that own a bed and breakfast. I believe it's on Gower Street. And wow. I've been there.
It's a nice place to have a bed and breakfast.
It's beautiful. I spent a week or so there, and we did the I think there's a train that travels underwater, from what I remember, correct, to Paris. We did the Paris trip. We did travel around a little bit. I'm very much a rookie when it comes to Europe, but for the little experience I have, I've loved it. And my wife was an avid traveler to and from growing up. Her grandmother is British. She's from London, born and raised, and she married a military man from the U.S., her grandfather. And my mother-in-law, my wife's mother, is a flight attendant for Delta. So they've flown back and forth from London to the United States every single year, twice a year. When they were younger, probably more. So, the attraction to that was even more so for all of us as a group. It's really exciting.
That's awesome. I mean, look, it's probably a good thing that you've retired from your playing career, or we would have had people in the GB baseball community trying to work out if that qualified for you to play for the national team. That's some of the links are pretty tenuous. I've heard more tenuous ones than that.
There's been a lot of buzz since the announcement, but also quite a fair bit of skepticism as well surrounding the league. What would you be able to tell us and the British baseball community to help get them more excited on board and put any doubts to rest?
Well, I mean, there's always going to be negativity with new things. There's going to be doubt. There's going to be a ton of questions, especially when it comes to a new professional baseball league that's going to be traveling internationally during COVID times, nonetheless. And, like I said, I think I said a little earlier, unfortunately, I'm not able to answer all the questions, and it's just kind of where we're at this moment. I know Matthew spoke to Craig Savage, who's going to be in our management with the Knights, and it's professional baseball. I mean, it's exciting. It's baseball. I love the sport. I fell in love with it as a child growing up. I know there's love for it in that country, or you guys wouldn't be doing the podcast that you do. And I believe that once this team is situated and everything is organized and everything has been announced, that it's just going to create excitement, period, through your tunnels and through the announcements, through the web portals that the league has set up through their social medias and their main webpage, which I can give you guys later if you'd like. I don't know if we want to post those on your Twitter feeds or any of the social media you have, but I encourage everyone starting as soon as possible to follow the league and to follow their announcements, because the closer we are to this coming to fruition, the more news and information that's going to come out and more excitement it's just going to create. I think with just bringing the quality of baseball that is available over here, we're in search of some AA and AAA talent in the United States as well as Latin America to bring over and compete with Europe. I believe that in and of itself is excitement. We can watch Major League Baseball on television, but to be able to go to it and see it live and see it with our own eyes is different. Fortunately, London was the host to the Yankees and the Red Sox this past year, and I think that created a lot of excitement. But one series I don't think is enough. I think you need something like this. You need a season, and not only a season of baseball players, but the possibility to have the local guys and the local people, men and women, are encouraged to try out for this league. To be able to see somebody you've known play in the professional baseball and excel at it, it's going to be fun. And I'm really excited about that. And I think that's going to create even more excitement to future generations to come.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, this a good point at which to ask a couple of questions about recruitment. So you said that you're targeting AA, AAA players, which is absolutely amazing to hear. I mean, those are just superb quality baseball players. And, mentioned that there are a couple of good standard leagues over here in Europe, particularly in the Netherlands and in Italy, who might have a couple of guys on their roster who've maybe played at that level. How does recruitment work for you guys? I imagine that the particular situation we find ourselves in right now has made it pretty complicated. And I know that you're running a couple of tryouts, one in Europe and one over in, I think it's in the States in the next few weeks, right? Is that basically how you're going to build your rosters?
So basically, that's a great question and a lot of moving parts.
Sorry.
That's going to have to happen.
I love a compound question. I'm known for it.
It's great. This is great. I love it. It's a fantastic question. So we currently have a registration process on the league website, and I can post that out to you guys, and we can blast it out if we'd like. But
sure.
Currently, we're asking in the United States and Latin America, we would like to see AA and AAA players who are looking to continue playing baseball professionally to register to enter the draft. And those guys are basically sending in, because of COVID, they're sending in videos and their information to the league that will eventually come to us managers and management to kind of go over and draft players. Here in Europe, we're going to host a live, face-to-face, not a draft, but a workout where all of Europe is invited to register to come to Sevilla, Spain. And I believe that's Senor Soho announced that April 16th and 17th in Sevilla, Spain. You register, you come, you try out, and we will hold a draft that we will be able to pick our players from. So currently throughout the whole world, we have over 280 players registered for the league.
Wow.
The league's currently 6 teams and is probably going to grow in the years to come. And 280 players is already more than enough to fill 6 rosters, as we know. And that, which gets me fired up. And to know that I think this number is going to grow a lot more, especially after we can continue to push information out, is even more exciting. So unfortunately, we can't do a face-to-face workout here in the United States and in Latin America. And it's just, it's kind of where we're at. We're stuck with it, and it's okay because there's a lot of information out on these AA and AAA players. And quite honestly, a lot of us know who these people are to begin with. And
I was going to say, I imagine you probably are looking at that list going, goodness, I'd have him right now.
So I haven't seen the list. Obviously, they want to make sure that that list is given to everyone at the same time, so that we have the equal opportunity to go ahead and do what we need to do as managers and team officials to put together a strategy and things like that. But I'm really excited, and I hope to see as many European players as possible to come out to those 2 days and work out, and to see just to see the level of talent and the number of people that are excited and ready to play and want to play and could potentially represent their country. And that's just exciting for me. To play minor league baseball the way I did was exciting, but to be able to represent my country and play in my country is going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun.
That sounds really, really interesting. I've got 2 questions off the back of that. If I can, I'm not as known for structured questions like John, man. Pretty much, you could write them on the back of a lolly stick like a joke. You mentioned in a draft. Do you know if there's any plans for that to be broadcast, or if there's any sort of ideas about the build up to it, like it would be televised or anything?
Unfortunately, I that's one of those things that I can't really discuss right now.
Okay.
But when the league will make the announcements, and they'll be able to answer and hopefully have all the answers to all those questions.
Yeah.
Sorry, Matt.
No, that's fine. I just thought I'd ask just on the off chance. Another thing that you mentioned as well, I'm sort of seeing this as an opportunity, like when the Britain's women's national team's announced, just the opportunities now that this could present for young athletes in this country, seeing that there's like a next gear to step up to, that maybe the ambitions of going to States isn't just a be on end all. They could actually play here. Do you know if there's any sort of, like, I'll give an example, sorry. Like in New Zealand, there's a handful of like amateur clubs or baseball teams, but they have one team in the professional league in Australia, and they have like like a 5 homegrown player rule in it, where they have 5 New Zealand players within that professional team. Do you know if there's any sort of ideas to introduce that into the team, or would that be something that you would consider as the head coach yourself, to like a door for young athletes in this country to aspire to?
I 100% think that the local players should aspire to play in this league. In terms of a number or anything like that, that's something that the league will have to announce, and I kind of just have to leave that answer to that, unfortunately. But that's a really good question. But I think any and all players that are that believe and want to compete professionally, come on out, sign up, send your registration in. The league's ready to take as many registrations as possible, and we're just gonna have to answer that question like that. Unfortunately, I'm sorry.
That's right. Let's watch this space.
It's perfectly reasonable to watch this space on stuff. You don't know what you don't know, right?
Exactly.
But the main thing is that there are opportunities for young British baseball players, European baseball players to come out and show you what they've got. And we do have some very talented players in the under 23s team in Great Britain is particularly very strong at the moment. I think they've got high hopes.
That's
for
awesome.
them.
I can't wait to see them. I hope I see them.
They've got high hopes for them being the guys who might be them, and all of the very many Bahamians currently in minor leagues who qualify for Great Britain. I think they're quite hopeful that they might get them to the Olympics. So
awesome.
on the same sort of token, so Liam Carroll, who's a great friend of Matt and I, he used to coach the Great Britain team over here. He says the best investment that we can make in the future generations of baseball in this country, not that he's knocking the idea of a professional league, I know he's a fan, is to get people of your experience, people like Franklin, who's going to be coaching one of the teams out in Spain, over to Europe to like coach the coaches. Is that something that you see as not necessarily like at the core of your role, but something that you're going to hope to do to sort of pay it forward a bit once you're established over here in Europe?
Absolutely. I might say it in a different way. I am the type of person that will say I do not know everything. If I say I know everything, I'm lying to you, because I don't know everything about baseball. I am going to continue to learn every day as the sport evolves and adapts. And I believe it's as important for us as Americans and Latin American coaches to be coached by the European coaches as well. And it's a two-way street. I firmly believe that. And I believe I've listened to a couple of interviews that Liam Carroll had, and I loved it. I thought his one stands out in particular. I believe he was with the national team, where he spoke about the facilities and how, like, you don't need a great facility to make the atmosphere elite. And I think that's fantastic. I've never heard that before, because I've always been thrown technology in this. You need the best of the best to be able to compete with the best, which in a way is true, but it's helpful. It's a huge tool and a huge advantage. But I've seen some of the most incredible players I've ever seen come from areas where they play with milk cartons as gloves and rocks, and they don't have baseballs. So it was just refreshing to hear that. And I very much think that I have as much to learn coming to Europe as I do to offer. But I am always willing to help. I want to help. I want everyone to get better that I'm around, and I want to get better myself as well. And I'm a firm believer in that.
That's absolutely awesome. And yeah, you make a good point. So Liam might bemoan that he has to do some of his coaching in the middle of the winter on an AstroTurf hockey pitch. But
I've been there. I went to college in Buffalo to play baseball, and it is cold. It is freezing there.
I'll tell you what. I'll give you a tip for when you are over in the UK. We do actually have some of that state-of-the-art tech. It's just it's owned by Major League Baseball, and it's in a bar that they own.
A bar?
So yeah, they own a bar in one of the shopping centres in London called Home Run House, and they have sort of virtual reality batting cage experience, which I am reliably told by people who would know uses exactly the type of technology that you would be expecting in a high-end baseball environment. So if you need to know,
I'm gonna have to check it out.
yeah.
That might be a great place to have your like team building, getting to know each other exercises. You've got this really nice bar with MLB hitting. I had no idea it was owned by MLB.
Yeah, it is. It's fair to say that the last time we were down there, they maybe had juiced it a little bit, because I was pretty much Barry Bonds that afternoon, and I definitely am not.
Yeah, there's some technology here in the United States that you can juice up, and my son and I will go up to the local batting cages, and they have a hit tracks there, and you can juice up the power, and you can make fireworks come out, and you bunt the baseball and it goes 9,000 feet.
Yeah.
it's pretty incredible.
Yes, yeah, that's exactly that sort of stuff. Okay, Matt, so I'll hand over to you now.
Cheers. I really wasn't prepared for that one.
Sorry, mate.
No, I was just enjoying the conversation. Honestly, this is where my mind went. Then we were talking about juicing up the thing. It reminded me of the end of Monsters University, where Mike Wazowski and he's had the machine tampered with. It's like, wow, look, you're the greatest scarer, and he's just like, so the reason why I'm not prepared to answer that next question is because I was thinking of Monsters University, which I apologize for, and will be removing from this conversation at 29 minutes and 6 seconds.
That's great.
So if we touch a little bit more about the team culture, how are you planning to build a team culture, a group of athletes who probably won't know each other in an unfamiliar country with facilities probably not to the standards that they used to, unless you do go to that pub?
That's a really good question. I think a lot of that has to do with the players that we get. to kind of understand where everyone has come from. And I think priority number one is we need to get to know each other. The coaching staff, myself and the other coaches, we're going to have to know our team better than anybody else. And that doesn't mean on the field, it means off the field. And for us to be able to focus 100% on field, we need to make sure that we're able to focus on the field, whether it be practice or during the games. And, I think if we all come together as a group and are just willing to help each other out and compete with each other, it's going to create an environment that's going to help us not only succeed, but continue to get better on a daily basis. To answer your question, I don't have a direct answer, but culture is a 100% a huge part of a successful team. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you have poor culture and not a team first mentality, I mean, we've seen those types of teams fail in multiple sports, not just baseball.
Just sort of circling it back to where we started the conversation on that. So what can you bring over from the Yankees into an environment like this? As you said yourself, injuries curtailed your career, but you were playing with the Thunder, you played with the Rail Riders, so you played in AA and AAA yourself in like literally the most identifiable sports franchise in the world that's sort of known for having an elite culture. What can you bring over from that environment to sort of bring to these guys over in Europe who are coming from all over the world?
You're really good at getting these in-depth questions. I love it. But I just my experience alone, I've been in the clubhouse with some fantastic players, and I've seen us as a team fail with fantastic players, and to basically address what needs to get addressed and clear the air if there's things that need to be cleared, and change things that need to be changed, and do them in a rate that doesn't allow things to linger, and basically just allow our clubhouse and my office, the manager's office, to be open for communication and in line where, hey, if there's an issue, let's talk about it. Let's get this over with. So when we step on the field, it's us, we're together. We're here to win as a team and not let these things happen. I mean, you got a group of players that are super ultra competitive. You stick them all in a room, things are going to happen, and that's okay. Hopefully they don't. And when they do, if they do, you just deal with them and you talk about it and you move forward, and you don't let the past be the past, and you try to just, be a human and respect each other and hold each other accountable, and just move forward and keep moving forward. I'm not sure I don't think we've said this before, but I did mention that Luis Sojo is the first commissioner. I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but the league president, Jorge Sanchez, he's on LinkedIn and all the social medias, and he's very active on them to post on the league and updates and stuff. And I wanted to make sure that Jorge was spoken about on this, because if it wasn't for him and his vision to start this and put this into play and acquire the people that he's acquired, like Luis Sojo, we wouldn't be here having this conversation right now. And it's very exciting, and I'm blessed and honored that he thought of me and to come over and manage this club.
That's absolutely awesome. So you talked a bit about Luis and about Jorge, and what, as far as you're aware, what's kind of their level of ambition? You touched on this a little bit earlier, that you're starting. I think it's six teams you're starting with, right? You said
yes,
that earlier.
We're starting with 6 teams.
The ambition is for there to be more than that, given time, once things have settled in. So I guess it's, again, forgive me, it's a 2-part question. As far as what's the level of ambition for them, and what's success for you? What is sort of 24 months into this project with the Knights look like for you? What do you feel like would be a success in terms of establishing things over here?
Well, I'm after a championship every year.
Nice. That
we play, and in 2 years my expectation is 2 championships, and if we haven't won 2 championships, we failed. And as unfortunate and bad as that sounds, it is kind of what it is. I want to win. I don't care where I am. I'm going to try to compete with the best and be a champion at the end of it. And I think with the level of competition and how big baseball is throughout the world, this league is only going to expand. And I believe that there's room for expansion. I think Jorge, being the league president, is going to want to expand if I don't want to say anything I can't say again, but I think that expansion is definitely in the plans. This isn't going to be something that we're going to come and do for 1 or 2 years and then go see you later. This is going to be something that I believe is going to be established, like the Japanese league and the Taiwanese league and all the other international leagues around the world. This isn't going to be a 16 league in 10, 15, 20 years. I think it's going to expand because of the popularity of the sport and the excitement that I think it's going to come and create.
That's cool. And if you think about it as well, this is going to be closer to a proper World Series at the end of it than the actual World Series, because there's going to be more countries involved.
Yes, very well.
As long as you don't describe it as just a piece of metal, though, right?
Yeah, that's a sneaky point, man. But you're factually accurate.
Things that I'm not known for. I'm having that staying in. So, Kevin, how can fans and volunteers in the community possibly learn more and maybe even get involved a bit more to help support the Knights and yourself?
That's a great question. I can divulge my email. I don't want to divulge anybody else's email. I'll let them do that if that's the case, but I'd be more than happy to pass along information to our general manager and Jason Woods and Craig Savage. You reach out to Craig, myself, follow the league on social media, all the social media platforms. I'm not the best social media person. I do my best, but I try not to always be on my phone with, having the 2 young kids. I want to be present for them too. But, the platforms, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, the ESLB is all over those social medias. And whenever news is available, they'll announce them on those platforms. I believe Instagram is kind of where they post everything first, and then it trickles down from there. So if you want to follow ESLB Oficial, we can post that later if possible, so that if you have questions, there's the main website. I believe there's an email for any questions. If you want to try out, there's a link that we can post later as well, eslb.pro/tryout, that you can go ahead and register for. If there's any questions with that, there's you can email the league website, or the league email address that's attached to the main page too. And obviously, when you do look at the main page, everything's continuing to update on a daily basis. And there might not be things on there that you want to know, but it's coming. It's going to happen.
That's great. Candice as well. Do you know who the other managers and coaches are that of the other teams? Do you know who you're up against yet?
I have an idea. I don't want to divulge anything I'm not allowed to say when it comes to the other teams and where they are at in particular. But you'd mentioned Franklin being one of the managers. So I don't have a personal relationship with him quite yet. I have and will continue to reach out to the other managers when they are officially announced and things of that nature, as well as the coaches. And again, once those are announced and if they have been announced, they'll be on the Instagrams and the social media platforms. That way, everyone can know who is going to be leading the club that's going to be representing their country and city in this in the European Super League.
That's cool. I just wanted to see if we could try and stoke some rivalries early on.
Well, I think Franklin is managing the French club, right? Isn't he? So Franklin Font, ex of the Chicago Cubs. So I think we need to start there, right? If you're going to have a slightly jingoistic rivalry between Great Britain and anyone, it's usually France. Let's be honest.
All right. Well, we'll have a fun, professional and friendly rivalry. How about that?
Sure, absolutely. Okay, I've got no more questions, Mark. My appetite has been completely sated. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I'm really like, I can't tell you how excited I'm about this. I mean, I think when you broke it back in December, John, and I remember it for the first time, I literally nearly spilled my brew, and I was just like, this has to be a thing. This is what I want for Christmas. Please be a thing. And I'm so happy that we're sat here a couple of months later on actually having the chance to talk about it, because I said with Craig, I'm all in. My chips are all in. I can't wait to see what develops and what happens, and hopefully we'll be there with our Knights merchandise on in a game one day.
Yes, sir.
In this country. It's brilliant. It's tradition for me on my show to leave the final word open to the guests. So, Kevin Mahoney, any shout outs or any parting words you'd like to give?
Oh, there's too many names to give shout outs, but I will always say that I'd want to give a shout out to my wife and my children, Kimberly, and my kids, Caden and Kenzie. I will always shout them out. We love you guys and I appreciate you guys. And I really hope to be seeing everyone shortly, and hopefully we'll be able to have these conversations face to face and be able to see fans in the stands and cheering and excitement and having fun playing a game that I grew up cherishing.
Yeah, and John can have himself a nice hot dog eating competition with Tom in the UK.
I'm never doing that again.
Oh, come on.
I'm never eating a 2-foot long hot dog ever again.
We'll find a British equivalent of it. You can have like a gin and tonic and a Weatherspoons and one of them massive breakfasts or something, so you can finish it the first.
Tom will still beat me.
Well, okay, Kevin Mahoney, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Again, it's been an absolute blast. John, thanks again for giving us the opportunity to do all these crossover episodes. It's been everything I hoped it would be and more. And yeah, that's it for me.
Great. Cheers, Matt. And that's all from me too.
Excellent. And I'll see you soon.
Guys.
All right.